The martyr sacrifices themselves entirely in vain, or rather not in vain, for they make the selfish more selfish, the lazy more lazy, the narrow narrower. Florence Nightingale. Good evening, folks. Tonight is a political night, so we can talk politics. It's something I necessarily don't really like talking about these days, but I do know people do like it. I think it is important in a certain frame of reference. And the thing is, anyone can come on and talk about it with me. I think it's actually more for people out there to just kind of vent about the current political system, whether it's in the United States or anywhere else. While we're waiting for people to come on in, let's just kind of go over some things that happened recently. I will start out with Consortium News today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They had a audio interview with Kim.com, and then there's 3 separate clips. And Bill Binney was in as a guest talking along with Joe Laria and Elizabeth Voss. And there was also George Samzueli. I hope I pronounced his name right. Talking about the whole thing. It's very great. There's actually some new information here. There's also Mike Gravel at the beginning, who didn't get to be in the Democratic debates. And we'll talk about the Democrats and the Republicans. Let's not leave the Republicans out. Why do I not want to leave the Republicans out? Well, you would think an opposition party to the Democrats, because, I mean, it seems like every goal for every Republican is to control the judiciary, the Senate, and the House, as well as the presidency. Did I say that correctly? Anyways. But you will see that not just the Republicans, but conservative news outlets, conservative media, they used to report on the Seth Rich, right? Here's Breitbart. Back in 2017, Fox News, Seth Rich, murdered DNC staffer, leaked thousands of internal emails to WikiLeaks. Well, what happened to a lot of this material that's out there for the public? Well, let's see. Update. Fox News has since issued a retraction for the report that Rich leaked thousands of internal emails to WikiLeaks. And if you go ahead and click on it, what do you see from Fox News? Oh, that's it. Well, what are you gonna do? They don't care. They would go along with the Democratic narrative, I guess, but they don't about the Russiagate hacking, and it's just very peculiar to me. I think it's just very, very weird. And let me just make sure I've got the chime for people to come in, so I know that they're there. And I mean, it's amazing. It's like, remember the saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." Well, these days, I guess the enemy of my enemy is my enemy. But I have a feeling that the Democrats aren't necessarily the Republicans' enemy. They're just kind of along for the ride, you know. They're just partners in crime. Because I figured if you have a criminal, you want to be friendly with the cops. If you got the cops and the criminals all on the same side, well, you got yourself what do you call that? It's like The Godfather. Man, so many flies in the basement. It's so humid in here. All right. You got yourself a what do you call it? I don't know. It's bad. Whatever it is, it's bad. Okay. And here's I mean, there's so much to revisit. I mean, and that's what it does. And I mean, when we get constant updates of what's going on, you know, and you get people who are just well versed in what has been going on. And what's funny is when I watch, like for example, I mean, what are you gonna say when Bill Binney, who's the here we go,
knows this story,
former technical director at the NSA, talking about it, and you can't really discount it. And then what the thing is on the chats, because I'm monitoring the chats, is a lot of people didn't know about a lot of the information that was just regurgitated on today's episode. And a lot of things that people still don't realize is, I mean, here's the thing that aired, and people either forget it or they don't even think about it in any context. And I'll play it back.
Donald Trump has had a disastrous few weeks. If you look at the polls, he needs a miracle. In the American political lexicon, there's such a thing as the October surprise. The stuff that you're sitting on, is an October surprise in there? Do you even know what you're sitting on?
WikiLeaks never sits on material. Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material, and often very significant risks. There's a 27-year-old works for the DNC who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States, and that our sources are, you know, our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us, so we can protect their anonymity.
But it's quite something to suggest a murder. That's basically what you're doing.
Well, that others have suggested that. We are investigating to understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich. I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. And more importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens.
All right, plenty of interesting stuff that you can revisit. It's still out there.
Donald Trump has had.
And if you go to certain outlets, they will no longer report a specific narrative of actual reporting that was done in the past. They had to retract that reporting. And I just have to say, you know, if you are a supporter of Julian Assange, of WikiLeaks, of Seth Rich, I mean, if you are supporting anyone in the Democratic Party right now, whether it's Elizabeth Warren, whether it's Bernie Sanders, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, and you're just telling people, hey, this candidate needs to raise this much money, etc., which of course the donations are donations, right? I mean, how can certain people forget the things that were said in the entire DNC fraud lawsuit? And I mean, you can't you can't neglect what happened. I just don't understand it. I think a lot of people probably don't understand it and probably don't agree with it. They're probably just waiting to see, just like last time. Hey, let's just wait and see what happens. And let's just wait and see what happens. And we're getting to the point where you can't wait anymore. I mean, if you wait, more sacrifices are going to be made, and they're going to be made in vain. You've got a chance now to just say, hey, nothing changed since the 2016 DNC fraud from the reveals that were made by WikiLeaks, by Julian Assange, most likely provided by Seth Rich. And you know what? We're not going to give you guys any more money. Why do we want to do that? Donations are donations. It doesn't matter if it goes to this candidate or another candidate. It all boils down to going to the DNC anyway. And then you would think of all the hate that Donald Trump has. I wouldn't say it's even hate. It's faux hate. It's not really. It's more of acting. This guy's an actor. He doesn't want the DNC to go down. I mean, because then he'd have to actually have a real contest against a bunch of people who are serious about their commitment to, I guess, policies in the United States, and voters who really are adamant about changing the way the system is ran and the way that politics is being done. And you know, it's just it's the chance is now. I mean, we've never had a greater chance. And even with the crackdown made by certain media platforms like YouTube, which they did something funky with my live streaming, and I had to reconnect. And that's why if you saw me on Periscope or DLive, I had to redo it. They're doing some funky stuff. I don't know what it is, but I mean, at least people are still able to view videos and live streams, whether it's moving towards blockchain type of platforms, and we don't know how long that may even last. But a lot of that, it's still about trying to get people connected. And all right, we got some people in. Shirley, how are you doing? You gotta come on in. You can definitely easily fill me in with all that's going on with the debates, which I think is just a ruckus anyway. And let's see, let's go to the chat. All right. Hi, Grant Jarvis. They will not get a dime from me, says Shirley Vick. Grant Jarvis, remember that WikiLeaks may have had two sources for leaks? Yeah. And I think a lot of that right now, it points to Aaron Rich, which is Seth Rich's brother, but we don't know that 100%. I mean, I think that is a good case, because if you are going to do something like this, you need someone that you trust, and it's either going to be one of Seth Rich's friends or his brother. And I think it's going to be one of those two options. I mean, he's not going to trust someone that who's not like a real friend that he knew for years within the DNC. He's just not going to do that. So it's probably going to have to be someone close that he trusts. So that is one idea. Shirley Vick, did they shut down Unity for J, the hashtag? I think they took down the Twitter account for Unity for J a week ago, and it took a few days for them to get it back. And that's as much as I know about that. Is WikiLeaks offline? Hold on. Oh man. Oh, maybe it's. Oh wow. certificate. Details. Oh, well, that's a little. That's so people don't know what I'm doing. I should probably show you guys. That's news in itself. Good catch there, Grant. All right, so yeah, WikiLeaks.org. HTTPS, potential security issues, Firefox, website certificate expired. I guess they can update their security. Oh, my clock is set correctly, and that's weird. Yeah, my clock is set correctly. I guess we'd have to. No, that's that. They had to fix their certificate, or we'd have to export in. We wouldn't export in. We would have to. I don't know. It's weird. Extensions. Identifier. Huh. There's a lot here. I mean, we could probably try mirror.wikileaks.org. It's the same. I think they're all going to be the same. Can you guys? Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Certificate policies. Certificate signature. No. All right. Well, I should probably share the desktop, huh? Let's look at what you guys are saying. No other leaker may have. No. Okay. So Grant Jarvis is saying other leaker may have been NSA. I mean, I don't know anybody from the NSA unless, I don't know. I've got no clue as to anyone else. And let's see. All right, Shirley, you'll be on in a little bit. That's great. I don't like doing this alone. At least not politics and stuff like that, because I don't follow a lot of things. I used to, right? I mean, that's how I got started. But it's like as much as things change, things don't really change. But I think what has gone on in the past, as far as me, I changed a little bit. Quite a lot, however way you want to look at it, and realized what I was in it for was exactly what I was in it for today, but it's not about me, really. It's really about all of us. You, me, family, friends, and all of us. And I think it just takes a little bit of a push, right? Of just saying what we got to do. And I think when you see people out there, it's like, hey, regardless of what happens, this person doesn't seem to care. It's like the threat of death, this person's doing it anyway because it's the right thing. And I think that type of bravery that we've seen, that type of sacrifice that we've seen, is contagious in a good way. And I think we just need to keep expanding on that. And more is starting to get revealed in many ways, not just in political atmospheres, not just in esoteric and occult atmospheres, not just from spiritual consciousness, or even I've seen people who play video games, who just watch movies and entertainment, and people who study martial arts, and they're just kind of opening their eyes and waking up to seeing that a lot of the stuff that's been occurring in the past has just been all lies. It's all been fake. And it's very cool to see everyone just kind of waking up to that. And why does it do that? All right, so that should fix my audio a little bit. Let's see. Assange does not have access to the internet. I do not know why they shut it down. That's a good question. Let me check on Twitter to see. And I'm pretty sure Twitter would block it, but there's certain people that follow. Let's see. Where's the dark mode? Is there dark mode? Yes. No, not promote mode. Oh, man. All right, lights out. There you go. Usually I don't have that on mine. And you guys are in the dark, so might as well. All right, let's see what they have on WikiLeaks. All right. Let's do the latest. Okay, it looks like there are people noticing it. I don't know. That's because the error that we yeah, it's just a I don't know about SSL. It's just like a certificate expiration. Usually that happens, but whoever's managing the servers for WikiLeaks should have, at least the domain should have realized, the DNS should have realized the certificate was expiring and get that handled. It happens quite often, a lot on business websites and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be a big worry, but we don't know. Let's look at WikiLeaks and see what they have to say. They haven't tweeted anything really, so they could have blocked WikiLeaks, but I doubt it. Although it's happened before, I think. But would they block certain people within WikiLeaks? Let's see. When was that? Oh, all right. Let's see. How about don't see much there. How about has he nothing recently? I mean, he doesn't seem to tweet very much. Huh. Right. I don't know. That's pretty interesting there. Thanks for that heads up. All right. Let's see. Wow, it's slow night. Let's go back to the chat. Craig Murray tweet. Ex-UK diplomat Craig Murray claims that the DNC and Podesta files were from two different leakers, both Americans, and it hints that the former were from a DNC insider and the latter from someone in intelligence or law enforcement. See his interview with Scott Horton. Excuse me. December 2016. Tried to send you a link via Twitter, but no luck. All right, let's see. Gregory Scott. Interview 2016. Well, might as well go ahead and watch it while we're waiting on people to come on in. Okay, 27 minutes. That's a lot to listen to. Heck, we got time. Let's go ahead and listen to it, huh? Not many views. 350 views? You would think there'd be more on it. Let's give him a little bit more. Let's go subscribe there. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself and take myself off.
Hey, y'all, Scott Horton Show. I'm him. Check out the archives at scotthorton.org and at libertarianinstitute.org/Scott Horton Show. And sign up for the podcast feed there as well. All right, so the deal is, man, we're raising money for the Libertarian Institute. It's me, the great Will Grigg, the heroic Sheldon Richman, and the wonderful Jared LaBelle. It's a great little institute we got over there. We are reliably anti-everything libertarians at the Libertarian Institute. I'm the foreign policy guy, Will Grigg, the cops, Sheldon, history, economics, everything. Jared's great on taxes and helping to run the thing. And so far, it's been a real success, and we plan on having a hell of a year next year with our new Libertarian Institute. But we need your help to do it. Simple as that. So if this is the kind of thing that you believe in and want to help support, then please do. We're at libertarianinstitute.org/support. You can get books. You can get silver coins. You can enter a raffle right now to win a 2-week permaculture course in the rainforest of Costa Rica. Seriously, you got to pay for the plane ticket, but the rest is on them. Learn all about it and write it off on your taxes. libertarianinstitute.org/support. Check it out. Thank you. All right, y'all. Introducing Craig Murray. He is the former British ambassador to Uzbekistan and famously a whistleblower on America's Extraordinary Rendition program with that torture dictatorship back when. And now he's got this very important piece at craigmurray.org.uk. It's called The CIA's Absence of Conviction. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, Craig?
Very well, thank you, Scott. Very well.
Good. I really appreciate you joining us on the show today, and this is a very important thing that you've written here. The context is, of course, the CIA's claim to the Washington Post that the Russians ran an op to hack the Democrats' emails. I guess that goes for the DNC and the Podesta emails, to leak them to WikiLeaks in order to help Donald Trump win the election. And to a degree that I think is actually sort of surprising to me, this story seems to really have legs in there. Even the Electoral College is now saying they want a briefing. I don't think they really would dare to try to overturn the results of the election, but they're at least trying to use this to hem in Trump on his Russia policy, as Greg Sargent reported in the Washington Post. And yet what you've written here and what you told The Guardian was, hold it right there. This isn't right at all. But how can you know?
Well, it's not really new. I mean, the people who are in a position to know are WikiLeaks and the people who work with WikiLeaks, of which I am one. And, Julian Assange has said very plainly that the information does not come from Russia. He's said that straight out. And, I have first-hand knowledge that the source of the leaks was not Russian and was not any kind of proxy for the Russian government. It's an American source. So, really, the CIA, who have offered no evidence whatsoever for this anonymously briefed claim, the CIA just talking complete and utter nonsense. Just know for certain that what they say is not true.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well now, first of all, can you explain what exactly is your role with WikiLeaks? I'm not a member of WikiLeaks staff. They have staff. They have directors. I'm not any of those, but I'm a member of Sam Adams Associates and of other whistleblower organizations which work very closely with WikiLeaks. And I've been close to Julian for a number of years, and I'm one of the people who is able to visit him in the Ecuadorian embassy and speak with him and discuss strategies and help move things along. So I cooperate with WikiLeaks without being a formal member of the structure. I see. And then can you tell us how it is that you know who the source is? Is it just that Assange told you, or you have more direct information yourself?
No, I have rather more direct information than that, which relates to a visit I paid to Washington in September of this year, when and I should be plain that the Podesta emails and the DNC emails, of course, two separate things, and you shouldn't conclude that both have the same source. But in both cases, we're talking of a leak, not a hack, in that the person who was responsible for getting the information out had legal access to that information.
Mm-hmm. And then a trip to Washington, are you saying that you were the recipient of at least one of these leaks?
No, the material was already, I think, safely with WikiLeaks before before I got there in September. I had a small role to play, which I hope you'll understand if I don't expand on it too much.
Sure. No, I do understand. I hope you understand if I keep trying to push a little bit to try to understand what's going on here. I read a post by my friend George Washington over there, George Washington's blog, and he put two and two together in a couple of statements and said, and I guess comparing your statements with those of the famous NSA whistleblower William Binney, that when you say this was a leak, I think George Washington's blog's conclusion there was that meant a leak from the inside of the American intelligence community, although I guess the way I read your statement, it possibly could just be a Democrat or a member of the Democratic National Committee or someone who had access through that route. And again, I'm not exactly sure whether we're talking about the Podesta or the DNC leak or one or both here. As you say, they are at least presumably separate. But can you give us any insight on whether, for example, you can confirm Binney's claim that this comes from inside American police and intelligence rather than inside the political apparatus like the DNC?
Well, I think, again, the key point to remember in answering that question is that the DNC leak and the Podesta leak are two different things, and the answer is very probably not going to be the same in both cases. I also want you to consider, that John Podesta was a paid lobbyist for the Saudi government. That's open and declared. It's not a secret or a leak in a sense. John Podesta was paid a very substantial sum every month by the Saudi government to lobby for their interest in Washington. And if the American security services were not watching the communications of the Saudi government's paid lobbyists, then the American intelligence services would not be doing their job. And of course, it's also true that the Saudi's lobbyist in Washington, his communications are going to be of interest to a great many other intelligence services as well.
Hey, Al Sky here for Rye Guys t-shirts. Rye Guys, that's WRY guys.com. Great, irreverent, thought-provoking t-shirts upholding a pro-freedom perspective. Inspired by such classic humorists as Mark Twain, H.L. Mencken, and Oscar Wilde, they invoke the wit and wisdom of the past to satirize modern myths. These high-quality shirts for men and women look good and feel good, and they make great gifts. Use the coupon code SCOTT for 15% off. Rye Guys t-shirts at ryeguys.com. That's WRY guys.com. Isn't that interesting? So, sorry, I hope I'm not being too annoying here. I'm trying to read between the lines. It sounded like your first answer was, well, maybe one is one and the other's the other, meaning one came from inside the intelligence services and the other maybe came from a political source. And then your allusion, I think, was to, well, geez, the NSA and then must have been looking at what Panetta was doing since he was operating as a registered agent of a foreign power. Is it fair to say that you're saying that the Podesta leak came from inside the intelligence services, NSA, or another agency?
I think what I said was certainly compatible with that kind of interpretation, yeah.
Thank you very much. You're very polite. I appreciate that. All right. And now, so is it the case that you can say in terms of the DNC leak as well?
It's the case. I mean, what I can say to you is that I know what WikiLeaks have. I know what I know from WikiLeaks on the DNC case, and I believe Julian, who I've known for many years, and he flat out says it's nothing to do with the Russians. So that's. But I have never. I don't have direct personal access to the source or anything like that. I wouldn't like to pretend that I did.
Mm-hmm. But in both of these cases, you're saying that these are leaks from Americans too. I saw this as part of what you said to The Guardian was if these people were acting as Russian agents, they'd be in jail right now.
Yeah, exactly. In both cases, they are leaks by Americans. Now, it's perfectly possible that WikiLeaks themselves don't know precisely what is going on. I mean, one thing which I'm sure everybody noticed was that Julian Assange took very close interest in the death of Seth Rich, the Democratic staff member. And WikiLeaks offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to the capture of his killers. So obviously there are suspicions there about what's happening, and things are somewhat murky. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he was the source of the leaks. What I'm saying is that it's probably not an unfair indication to draw that WikiLeaks believe that he may have been killed by someone who thought he was the source of the leaks.
Whether correctly or incorrectly?
Whether correctly or incorrectly.
But are you saying that Assange says that he is not the source, but that maybe someone mistook him for the source, or he just is not saying either way?
No, Assange has not clarified that either way. But obviously the fear that he may have been killed has something to do with these leaks, possibly by someone who thought he was the source, is a motivation.
Yeah. Well, I think that occurred to a lot of people, but of course it's the kind of thing that is easily dismissed as conspiracism as well.
That's also true. But people do die over this sort of stuff. You have to remember that there were billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars, behind Hillary Clinton's election campaign, and those people have lost their money. And you have also to remember that there's a big financial interest, particularly from the armaments industry, in a bad American relationship with Russia. I mean, the worse the relationship with Russia is, the larger contracts the armaments industry can expect, especially in the most high-tech, high-profit side of fighter jets and missiles and that kind of thing. And Trump has actually already indicated he's looking to make savings on the defense budget, particularly in things like fighter projects. So there are people standing to lose billions of dollars, and anybody who thinks in that situation bad things don't happen to people is very naive.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what, if we can go off on this tangent for a second, would you like to comment on the relative danger of the new Cold War with Russia at this point, Craig?
I find it very worrying, frankly, that people want to get into a new Cold War with Russia. I am no fan of Putin. I'm a critic of Putin's internal policy. I think his control of the media and the shutting down of a lot of independent media in Russia has really undermined the sort of the start of democracy which we'd seen in that country. So I'm not a big fan of Putin. I don't like the oligarch system where wealth is even more concentrated in Russia than it is in the West. But the idea that we want to go back into a system where we regard Russia as an enemy and we have these fantasies about a war with Russia is absolutely crazy. There's no way that Russia is ever going to attack the United States or the United Kingdom. Russia's got no interest whatsoever in doing that. Where Putin has shown some foreign policy adventurism is in bringing back into Russia parts of the former Soviet Union which have a majority Russian ethnic population. That's not an aim I support. I think that's been dangerous and disruptive. But he's almost finished that. And there aren't really any more, there are very few more parts of the former Soviet Union with a majority ethnic population. He's essentially achieved what he wanted to achieve. There's no evidence that he's looking for further land acquisition for Russia. And in Syria, frankly, his policy appears more sensible than the Western policy, where the West is promoting, jihadists who support the Saudi-exported Wahhabist doctrine. So I just don't see that we have this profound conflict of interest with Russia, which necessitates a new Cold War and a new arms race. I'm sorry, that was rather a long answer to give you.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was looking for because, and I'm glad you brought up the question about the minority Russian-speaking populations in the Baltic states, for example, and that kind of thing, because, I mean, people do seem to think that that's a real problem, but you're saying that the threat of any real conflict there, that the Russians are going to try to redraw those borders or something like that, that basically this is all negotiable and it's already been negotiated.
Yeah, I think that's true. And the places where Putin has taken action, like an enclave in Georgia and in the Crimea, are places which have a majority Russian population, not a minority Russian population. There's no evidence that he's daft enough to try to move into areas which only have a minority Russian population. And he's not mad enough to attack the European Union. That's definitely not going to happen, or to attack NATO. So an awful lot of this saber rattling is much ado about nothing. But as I say, it's extremely profitable for the armaments industry.
Right. Yeah, well, no question about that. All right, so now, what do you make of all the CIA claims about, well, you have Guccifer here, GRU, and FSB, and they're hacking here, and they're phishing there, and that they've traced all of this stuff? Is this all just made up out of whole cloth, do you think?
Well, I think the Guccifer thing is hilarious. I mean, Guccifer is not the source for WikiLeaks. And the idea that the Russian FSB would, carefully hack these emails and then have this vainglorious weirdo personality boasting about it all over the internet and using Cyrillic script is just not at all probable when you think about it. The Russians are a great deal more professional than that. Yes, of course the Russians spy on the United States. The United States spies on the Russians. The United States spies on the British and the Germans as well. That's part of the game of international politics and international diplomacy. Nobody's saying that the Russians don't spy on the United States. They do. It's an ongoing mutual game that's always been part of human history, I suppose. But it so happens that they are not the people who hacked this particular material and passed it on to WikiLeaks.
And then, so what about, all the stuff about the GRU phishing email and all of that? Is that just something that happened but is unconnected to the leaks themselves, is what you're saying?
Well, a phishing email happened. Whether it was definitely from the GRU, I have my doubts, but it's not the source of the leak.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I wish I was a little bit more proficient on the technical aspects of all this kind of stuff, so I could try to come up with some better questions to ask along those lines. But it sounds like, well, really what you're saying, certainly on at least half of what's at issue here, that you personally know, one, and on the second, you know what Assange told you, and in that case, you certainly believe him. And in both cases, the DNC leak and the Podesta leak, you're saying both sources are not hacks, but insider leaks and Americans in both cases.
Yeah. If you're looking for the source of all this, you have to look to Americans. And it's worth saying that if Hillary Clinton hadn't connived with the DNC to fix the primary schedule in order to disadvantage Bernie Sanders, if she hadn't accepted questions in advance of televised debates against Bernie in order to give her an unfair advantage, if the Clinton Foundation hadn't accepted donors from all kinds of dictators in exchange for access to meetings in the State Department or foreign policy decisions or purchase of uranium or whatever else they wanted in exchange, if all that hadn't happened, then we wouldn't be talking about any of this. One of the very peculiar things is that the mainstream media is still completely in denial about all those stories I just told you, which mostly weren't much featured in the mainstream media. And yet at the same time, they're saying that these emails, which were Russian, affected the election. It's quite strange. The emails can't be totally unimportant and meaningless, right, and at the same time have affected the election.
Right. Yeah, all they did was show how business is done on a daily basis inside the Democratic Party and the Clinton campaign. Why would that do anything but help Hillary Clinton's chances, right?
well, exactly. I think lots of people were surprised by, for example, the extent of media collusion, which went beyond, of course, journalists keep up their contacts and that kind of things, but discussing, how to present stories to best political advantage of a political candidate and that kind of thing is out with ethical journalism. I think those emails are an absolutely fascinating glance into the way politics operates in Washington. I think it's not very pretty. And I actually think it says a very great deal for the sophistication of the American voter, that they did have such a profound effect on so many people, and people are capable of understanding and analyzing what's going on and reacting to it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now, because of this whole controversy, I mean, they're really trying to, in a sense, as I was saying at the introduction here, they're trying to really undermine the incoming presidency of Donald Trump. I mean, Hillary has said she concedes we have to accept the result, but at the same time, she's saying, oh, yeah, she supports the CIA giving a briefing to the Electoral College. I guess just trying to cause trouble, that kind of thing. But so it raises the question of whether the source, one or both sources, might just as well come forward at this point and say, it was me, not them. It wasn't the Russians. I'm not a Russian. I did this because I'm a Bernie fan, or whatever it was. Do you think that there's any chance of that at this point, that the source or sources might change their mind and come forward?
Well, I can't know. But the whole Obama-Clinton attitude to whistleblowers, the way that very good patriotic Americans like Thomas Drake and William Binney and John Kiriakou have been treated the way that Chelsea Manning is treated, the way that Edward Snowden is still in exile, doesn't actually encourage anybody to come forward. A doubt hovering around the death of Seth Rich doesn't encourage anybody to come forward either. So I wouldn't myself lean on anyone to come out, because I know as a whistleblower myself that the consequences for you and your family are extreme. So I think that's a decision people have to be left to make privately.
Yep. All right. Well, listen, thank you very much for coming on the show, Craig. I really appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. It's always good to talk.
All right, y'all. That is Craig Murray, formerly the British ambassador to Uzbekistan, and a whistleblower in his own right. And now, as he says, he works on a somewhat sort of consulting basis with WikiLeaks, and he writes at craigmurray.org.uk, craigmurray.org.uk. This one is called The CIA's Absence of Conviction, and we're running about half of it, little splash page thing today at the Libertarian Institute as well, if you want to.
All right. That was an interview back in December 13th, 2016 by Scott Horton with Craig Murray. And I do vaguely remember that Craig Murray was, I think he was on the Unity4J, which I may have to revisit. Let's see. All right, let's look at the chat real quick. And again, please, if you guys want to talk, come on in. It's the description box will have the information to join in on Zoom, so you could go ahead and talk about it. Let's see. So Grant Jarvis was saying, if Seth Rich is one leaker and murder, then Assange can't talk about leaks for sake of second leaker. Yeah, makes sense there. And Susie Greer, all I can say is I was subscribed to Seth Rich. I didn't know him. I was just a follower, but about 5 videos were sent out by him. Didn't recognize the Australian accent on the video as Julian's on the videos. I don't know what those are. All right. And when I was listening in to the Scott Horton show, and I think I might want to see if I could reach out to him and if I could interview him. He'll probably say no, but you know what? You won't know until you ask, right? So the thing is, he's libertarian, and I think what I would love. Hi, Eric. How's it going? What I would love is for libertarians to start voting libertarian. Stop voting Republican, because thinking that you're not going to have a libertarian as a president or a congressman. Well, you obviously aren't going to have a libertarian in Congress if you vote Republican. And I would say the same thing for people who are for the Green Party. Stop voting for the Democrats if you want the Green Party to get in Congress or as the president. It's more of a long shot for the Green Party than it is for the Libertarian Party to get a president in right now. But hey, long shots happen, right? So the thing is, I would say if you are, and especially commentators out there, political commentators, I know you guys are excited for Bernie 2.0 or Tulsi Gabbard or Elizabeth Warren or whoever, but you know what? You guys know what the DNC did in 2016. You guys know how they didn't change. They actually changed for the worse. They just actually made it harder for all that to happen again. And all I see on Twitter, I don't watch the videos, but all I see on Twitter is, hey, this person is great. Let's give her money and our support. What? How did that happen? And let's see. I would say, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you don't want the sacrifice of individuals who are actually exposing the corruption to have made their sacrifices in vain, then, well, I would say don't vote for a Republican, don't vote for a Democrat. Vote for an independent, vote for a Green Party, vote for a Libertarian. I've actually been saying that for years now. For me, I don't vote. I just go and get... I'm an anarchist, so therefore I'm not going to vote. But I know it's important for people to vote if they want to, and I am all in support of people who do want to vote. And Christian, oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in a while. Christian's in the house. He says, you shouldn't give a dime to DNC or RNC. Oh, yeah. Christian is typically always right. So, yeah. Don't give a dime to him. You're not going to get what you want. It's just a money sink. I think if I was just the puppeteer behind the DNC, I would say, look, the way to get a lot of money for the DNC is to get a whole bunch of candidates out there. People will donate, have them make a certain amount of money to make it into the debates. And if they don't have that money, they don't make the debates. But basically, that makes sure that the DNC gets the money for whoever is the primary candidate to go against Donald Trump in 2020. And the thing is, your biggest money makers is still you've got it in your bag, which is Hillary Clinton. She can raise a lot of money. And I think a great case is to be made by the DNC to people who donated in 2016 to Hillary Clinton and the DNC that, hey, the stuff that happened in 2016, it's not going to happen again. We've got Julian Assange. We're taking down WikiLeaks. We've made sure that independents can't run in the DNC. We put a new chairperson within the DNC. It's not Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but you know what? Debbie Wasserman Schultz is still part of Congress, got reelected, and is going to help with the DNC campaigns. And Florida is a very, very important state, battleground state for voters for presidential elections, and therefore we still have that. And so you've got a whole lot of things you could tell the people who donate max amounts, and therefore I think it's you've got a lot of ways to make money for the DNC, because I think they're going to need it. I don't think the DNC is raising enough money if money makes a difference to defeat Donald Trump. It didn't make a difference in 2016, that was for sure. Hillary Clinton outraised Donald Trump quite a bit, and she still lost. MAGA Zog failure, ending the private health insurance industry would get struck down by federal judges in all 50 states and in the Supreme Court. Yeah, let's see that happen. And we'll know who those judges are. Grant Jarvis, Hillary will steal a lot of other candidates' money. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, she'll raise a lot of money. All these candidates have raised money for her. I mean, what do you think Hillary Clinton's going to do when she met with all the other Democratic candidates? She's saying, hey, here's a piece of advice, how to raise money, etc., etc. Or maybe they talk about grandkids. Or maybe she was saying, look, we want you to run, raise as much money as you can. I'm going to come in late because, if I come in early, my favorability ratings always get lower and lower. So the later I get into the race, the better it is. And you know what? If I win, you have a great position within within my cabinet. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. A lot of these Democratic candidates are jumping in saying, hey, You know, I'm a long shot to become president, especially the nominee for the Democratic Party. But you know what? If I raise enough money, I'll probably get a cabinet position if Hillary Clinton becomes president. Oh, yeah, Christian, I think Clinton is going to sweep in the last minute. She'll be the savior to the Democratic Party. I've been saying that before H.A. Goodman, but H.A. Goodman, he follows in on everything that's going on. And yeah, he's got a good point. Susie Greer, this to me told me he was probably getting rid of important information that was important. I don't know. Let's see. DNC is just like political whorehouse for money. Thing goes with the RNC. Come on in, you guys. Eric, Christian. You guys. I mean, I want to know what's been going on lately because I tell everybody I can't. One person can't know everything. There's just too much junk in that head of every person. And plus, just not enough. I guess I don't know. There's just not enough where I can have my I guess sources that I could look at. I mean, I didn't even know about the Scott Horton show and his interview with Craig Murray, and that's thanks to Grant Jarvis. You know, having people in, communicating, and telling people, hey, you should listen to this or you should watch this. It's pretty interesting. I think it's good. MAGA Zog failure. You're MAGA, right? I mean, make America great again. Why wouldn't you want Hillary to win the Democratic Party? She lost big time in 2016. You want her to go against Donald Trump, just like she wanted Donald Trump to run against her. Yeah, Christian, I remember you saying that way back. That's why I asked. Yeah, I think I just think of it as a strategic type of maneuver, and money and public perception. It's all kind of intertwined. You got to sell it, right? If you can't sell the product on its own merit, you have to prop it up. And what we're seeing is the propping up of the product. And that product is going to be Hillary Clinton 2.0. Or is it 3.0? So therefore, that's what I see. I see no one's buying it. No one's buying the product within any of the Democrats. But they're going to be sold on it once Hillary Clinton gets in. She's going to finally break that glass ceiling. Third time's a charm. All the gun violence that's been occurring. None of the Democratic candidates are really strict on guns, but do you know who is? Hillary Clinton. And who's really fighting the ICE agents and things like that? Donald Trump. Well, it's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. It all points to Hillary Clinton all the time. And here's another prediction. It's not really a prediction. It's just kind of all right, this is where my mind's going. I'm going with it. You've got, remember the Green Party? Like the Green Party right now, they don't seem to have a candidate to run for 2020, which is pretty sad right now. You would think that they would have one, or they might do what Jill Stein did last time, is try to entice a Democrat who's progressive to run on the Green Party platform. Like Jill Stein wanted Bernie Sanders to get on to the Green Party and run as a third party, but Bernie Sanders refused. He didn't even acknowledge it. And you would think that the Green Party would do the same thing with a progressive candidate that won't make it in the Democratic Party. But if no one accepts, if there's no Democratic candidate that accepts the position to run within the Green Party, I think that also points to the cabinet positions to be had within 2020 if Hillary gets elected. All right, let's see. Grant Jarvis. Yeah, I guess you like Tulsi. That's fine. I wouldn't ever vote for her if she was in the Democratic or the Republican Party. Is that if I? Oh God, I hope not. Eric, I wish I could be in now. I'm working on uploading videos, getting title and descriptions. Yeah, 30 videos in 2 days. Yeah, that's gonna be some time. Oh, you're monitoring HA's live stream when he goes live. That's awesome. That's good. You'll be in as soon as you're done, which will probably be in 2 days. All right, Christian Ebon, if she does run and win the Dem nomination and loses the general again, do you think she goes back into the woods for good? Yeah. This is all or nothing. You know, there's just not enough momentum. I mean, they don't have enough momentum as it is, but they just really won't have the momentum. Whoever's in 2020 or 2024, it's not going to be Trump again. Like, a lot of this is anyone but Trump. You know, just like before, it was like anyone but Hillary. But this time, it's definitely anyone but Trump. And so in 2020, they don't have that. They don't have that as far as like the DNC and public perception. They don't have anyone horrible to run against. I mean, who's going to be more horrible than Donald Trump in 2024? I guess you got the Mike Pence in 2024 you could have, but it's not like Mike Pence says the stuff that Donald Trump says to really antagonize the people to elicit those reactions that they get. Grant Jarvis, not perfect, but best of a bad lot. Mag failure. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock could have made the best Democrat to run against Trump, but it's too late for that now. Yeah, I guess. I mean, an actor versus another actor. You know, I don't know. You know, Dwayne Johnson, wasn't he a wrestler and wasn't like Donald Trump kind of in on it a little bit too? I'm pretty sure they go way back. Eric, I don't think Hillary will get in. She'll make out like a bandit and profit on TDS. Like, she's gotten a lot of money. You know, she raised a lot of money. She still has the Clinton Foundation. She has now another corporation. She's not gonna make as much money as she did, and I think she's gonna want more. She's not gonna have as much power as she did. Her time is waning because she hasn't been in a political position for years. You know, at least before they could have said, you know, she was senator for New York. Hey, Christian, how's it going?
Hello.
How you been? Are you laying down on the ground again?
Yeah, going old school. Well, yeah, my back's hurting, so I'm just doing this right now.
Okay.
Yeah. What's going
Long
on,
time.
brother?
How's it been? I think it's been like months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. You still going to the Assange rallies? In New York, New Jersey.
Since it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's the last one was, I think, the last time we talked.
Okay. Yeah, that's been a while.
It's been a while, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still keeping in touch with it, you know, as best I can. I've been out of the loop too, like you said. It's just like you were saying, it's hard for one man to know so much.
Yeah. And you know, there really isn't a lot of this going on. I would have hoped. I mean, James, if you're watching, James Manitalk hasn't been doing much lately. I think he's kind of been busy lately. And Kelly Lane has been doing some stuff, but it's been slowing down. She's pretty busy from what I hear. I haven't seen anyone else who used to do these types of streams and get together doing anything. and I just started back up last week, really, and to see what people think. I mean, it is a topic some people just like to discuss, and you guys like to come in, and I like to hear. I like to hear it. It's just like when I look at conspiracy theories, right? Conspiracies, and people will call them conspiracy theories. It's all stuff that happened in the past. It's like something that happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. Like, we don't get to have a conspiracy that's ongoing in the current time frame, right?
Right.
This whole Julian Assange, DNC fraud, Seth Rich, and a whole bunch of other people involved. This is real time. This is a real time conspiracy. So we get to witness it. We get to expose it. We get to try to crack it, and try to see, how is the establishment narrative, the official narrative, taking things, who's following that narrative and supporting it, and we get to see who's not, who's against that, who's really trying to expose the corruption, the conspiracy. And it's how could you not follow it? Because it's real time. It's not like we could go back and expose like the moon landing or the JFK assassination or whatever. This is now. So I think it's, even if you don't consider it your duty, I would say it's just consider it like, man, this is like a mystery, like not in the movies, not in the history books, but now I mean, if you like mystery, there you have it. It's something to participate in.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's like you said, it's developing. It's in the now of now, the here and now.
Yeah.
So it is definitely interesting. I've been watching, trying to keep close watch on the Epstein case too, which I find very fascinating. Just the amount of people that he knew, that he had close ties with.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. I'm wondering if he's gonna, make it to another courtroom, between now and then. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I think so. He's got protection in the prison, etc. They probably put him in. They probably make sure that nothing happens to him. I mean, people put him in there for a reason, right? They don't want him to die. Otherwise, there goes the whole thing. They're using him for exposure and maybe also as a distraction. And I mean, even with this going on, with him in prison being investigated, people still don't think that the whole pedogate or just the human sex trafficking for even minors exists. It's that stuff has happened many, many times within government, within religious institutions, and they still refuse to believe that it's being done now with the people that they like, whether it's people in Hollywood, whether it's people in government, whether it's whatever. And it's starting to get tough for people to just deny that stuff's going on. So that's kind of good.
Yeah, I guess so in a way, man. I just it's scary in a way too. Just the amount of victims he supposedly had and what he did to them. It's like, and the fact that he pretty much got away scot-free already once before in Florida.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen this time?
I mean, the thing about this is, it's just like look, he's one of those people where if you take down, he'll take down everyone else with him, because he has the dirt on everybody else that he was with, and whether it's true or not, people know that he had. I mean, you've got pictures with him with pretty much everybody. So it's just gonna be hard to not believe him, whoever he says. I mean, he could lie. He could lie that you know, Trump was never involved, that Bill Clinton was never involved, but he'll name all these other people, and it could just be all lies. But it's already out there, you know. And if that's so, he's protected. I mean, if he doesn't out Trump, you know, he's protected. If he doesn't out Clinton, either Hillary or Bill, if they get reelected in 2020, you know, they'll probably pardon him. I mean, they pardoned him. Aren't they the ones that originally pardoned him? I thought.
No, I believe it was the Attorney General for Florida that was on Trump's cabinet up until recently, Acosta. They set up a plea bargain with him.
Oh, okay.
I think the charge was soliciting, which basically implied that the minors, the girls, were whores.
They're still underage.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like they pretty much like rub salt into the wound. Like, oh yeah, you know, we're letting this guy, you know, get off a little bit. Oh, and by the way, we're charging him with solicitation, which implies that your daughter is a whore. Just imagine that. Like, imagine being a father of a 14-year-old girl being told that. And after you go to your government in confidence and hope that they do the right thing.
Yeah. I don't know what the fathers are doing these days. They must have gotten a good package or deal or something, because I think I'd be out there with my knife cutting some parts off of the person who had said that, you know. You know, I guess some people are pretty passive. I think American people are pretty passive these days. Not just Americans, it's just everyone worldwide. Like they could do anything, and you're just gonna be like, okay, I guess that happened. I'm pissed, but what am I gonna do? They don't realize how much. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's good. I talk too much. I'd rather have other people talk. I'm serious.
No, I was gonna say I'm not sure about that, man. Just look at the Gilets jaunes, the yellow vests in France. I mean, it was just, you know.
Is that still going?
Still going, yeah. It's like 37th week, something like that.
I thought the French government was getting a lot more aggressive against the protesters, yellow vests.
Yeah, they are. They have been.
But they're still going at it?
They're still going at it, man.
All right, no more making fun of the French. I mean, you know how we used to the Americans used to make fun of the French, just rolling over every time they got invaded. No, not anymore. I mean, heck, they got more gumption now than Americans do. So
they certainly do, man. I mean, people have lost their eyes. People have lost hands. It's crazy, and they're still going.
I think that gives them more resolve. Like, look, I think if something like that happens, you know, people most likely are two ways about it. They just kind of fold and they go away, or they double down and go, "You did this to us. Oh, now we're really pissed. We're gonna keep going till you guys are done and out, or you guys lose a couple of eyes, etc." And I think it's gotten. I think maybe a big problem is you know, too much of our history is focused on peaceful rallies and protests, which may have worked once but never again, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. And so people remember that, and that's just the example that they follow, because, well, of course, no one really wants to hurt anybody. But then you've got the authorities that are hurting the people who are peacefully protesting, and you still don't get any retaliation. And, you know, people are folding. They just don't have that courage anymore. They don't have that conviction and spite against horrible things done to people. And the thing is, people don't regard it as being violence done to American people or whoever it is out in the world. You know, the violence is being done by the authorities, by the establishment, and people are just okay with it because they go, oh, well, we can't go against the authorities. And then when they peaceful protest against it, more violence is done against them, and they still don't retaliate. And it's gotten to the point where it's like, what happened to the balls of people, man? You've got in somewhere in Central America, or maybe it's even Mexico. I did a video about it, and it's just a small town. And what happened is, like, the mothers, like grandmothers and stuff.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And they went out and said, we're tired of this corruption. We're gonna stand up to you guys, and if our husbands and our sons don't help, too bad, because we're gonna do it. And so all the husbands and the sons were like, man, we can't let the women get hurt, so they went to protect them. So they got all the thugs and the corruption out of their town. They reheld their own, local governments. They had their own police force, from the people, and that town is pretty much self-sufficient. No one wants to risk their lives taking that town out. If you're government, or if you're just a gang or whatever. And that's what was impressive. If we want like the SJW stuff now, we just need them to lead the charge, and the guys will back them up. It's not like the guys are gonna let the women, get hurt and do the stuff that men should have been doing a long time ago, So, yeah. Isn't there stuff going on in South America too? Like pretty big, like in Brazil? And Venezuela, of course.
Yeah.
It's always been pretty.
Yeah. I mean, just the usual corruption that you find in South America and Latin America.
Yeah.
This was a few months ago, but I was reading that there was some new like corruption charges like being, investigated in regards to the Brazilian president, Bolsonaro. Like some money laundering stuff, I believe, something along the lines like that. I don't quite remember.
Yeah.
And then something similar to the guy that was supposed to be the replacement for
oh, I remember.
Yeah, Guaido, the replacement for Maduro, and now
nobody
he's
like
kind
that.
of gone to the side now. Damn, it's just a lot of craziness going on all over the world.
And what's interesting is after Assange was silenced, like hasn't been much exposure of Spain and Catalonia, and I don't know what's going on now with that.
Well, I mean, there's still dozens of people that are political prisoners. Are still locked up. They don't have their independence. That's another obvious thing. And I mean, I've been out of the loop on that too, but from what I last remember, I mean, even with the new president of Catalonia, it's been hard to deal with Madrid. Madrid is like hell bent on not letting them go.
Yeah. I always wonder, because I would love to, because I do think what was great about Unity4J and is still great, and anything that stems from that, like Consortium News, when I'm looking at the analytics, there's just a lot of people around the world in different countries that are just joining in, right? And I'd love to talk with a lot of those people and just wonder if they ever think like, when are the Americans going to start standing up to their government? Like we're like people in Venezuela, we don't even have guns, and we're standing up to our government. And you've got people in Catalonia, Brazil, and many other places that are France that are just standing up to their government. They have like no guns. It's like, dude, we're all we got are rocks and sticks against tanks. And you Americans have the most guns of any country with your own citizens, and you guys ain't doing shit. I wonder if anyone thinks of that, from all these other countries out there.
Yeah, man, they probably do. I mean, it's hard to encapsulate, the mind of a general populace because we're all individuals. We all have our different upbringings, our different mindsets, come from different parts of the country. Yeah, man, it's just I think part of the reason why I guess Americans are more complacent or more passive in terms of standing up and saying no to their government and holding their government to account um, in face of just blatant, obvious waste, fraud, and abuse is because we've been bred to be that way by the various forms of media, that we've grown up with and that our parents grew up with and their parents before that.
And I think Protestantism. I'm saying that wrong. The religious, conservative, very Christian based in America has been pretty much the turn the other cheek type of thing, and same thing with Catholicism in quite a ways. So Americans very, very Christian in that sense, and that's part of the society of upbringing is just being pretty dang, resilient against anything done to you. Like if bullies are beating you up, let them beat you up. God will handle it later, type of thing,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, when I was growing up, my parents my mother especially used to say, like, if somebody pushes you, you punch them.
Yeah.
Like if they push you, not if they punch you. If they push you, you punch them.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned that, man, because that's another thing I want to bring up is that I think another thing to blame is that we are also bred to be so focused on ourselves, our fellow citizens, and be at odds with one another. I mean, just look at it. You always tend to see it. It's always A or B that seem to frame it as, right? Whether it's white, black, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, lefty, righty, north, south, East Coast, West Coast. I mean, it could go
Very
on and on.
dualistic.
Yeah, dualistic, exactly.
Not just dual, like DUAL, but dual as well,
Yeah, dual as in two. Yeah. That's a good pun, though.
Yeah.
That's a good pun.
Hey, I'm a dad, so I get to have all these puns. Dad jokes. Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you be excited for all this change? I mean, would you like if you thought about like a revolution occurring? Would you be would you rather have here's the thing when people say, "Oh, you want a revolution and have a war?" And I think, look, a revolution is inevitable. It always happens when there's corruption in authority and in government and in every case of history. Even if you don't believe in history, whether or not you believe in the written history, even then they've always touted as revolutions occurring in very dictatorship or authoritarian or just all these forms of government where corruption reigns. And when people say look, I would rather have here's the easy answer. I would rather have the revolution now where I can fight it than rather have my kids fight the revolution for me when I'm older, right? I would rather have that happen than my kids have to do it. So yeah, bring it on. Let's have it now rather than later, because I don't want my kids to have to fight the fight that we should have had when my father was around. That revolution should have happened decades ago. It never happened, and now it's up to us. And if we don't do it, our kids are gonna have that revolution, and it's not gonna be pretty. So that's the way I think about it, and I think all these countries that are rising up, I think it's a good thing. I'm glad that they've got that fire in them to just stand up to this worldwide. It's a worldwide thing. I mean, we just it's the new world order. they're all intertwined together. There's pockets of countries that are trying to not be a part of that, and we're seeing the takedown of those countries one by one.
Yeah, it's all over the place in Europe and Asia, North America, South America, everywhere.
Yeah.
And like as far as what I would think about it, I mean, I guess I share the same sentiment as you. Like I would rather it happen now, so like my children wouldn't have to go through with it, and also so that the government will be less capable of mounting a pretty significant defense to it. Because I think that the more time goes on with the way things are, I think the stronger, the elites get. Whether you want to call them new or order, or you want to call it neoliberalism, you want to call it.
It's always been a war of attrition, and they've been winning. And yeah, I mean, like when I see people out on the street, like just homeless, I honestly don't know how they survive. I mean, they're just out there all the time, and but they survive, and it's getting pretty bad too. I mean, we're seeing a lot of homeless around the world. I mean, it was bad in 2008. Now it's getting worse because whatever savings they had, at least they could let go of their mortgage and move out and still have some of their nest egg. But now, how long can your nest egg last? So it's I think it's getting very constrictive. I mean, the top 1% keep getting more of the wealth than the bottom 50%,
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's nuts, man. Revolutions always turn violent, and that's the part that worries me the most. Like how bad is it going to get?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love the revolution here to be like the one outlier where peaceful revolution actually worked, like a peaceful protest actually. But I think for that to happen, you'd have to get millions and millions, like tens of millions, if not like 100 million, which would be like a third of the population in the U.S. for that to really work. But even like you see like in France, like they're still going, man, and they have tens of thousands of people, if not more, doing that every weekend. Every weekend. They've been doing that every weekend for 35 plus weeks, and still they're going at it.
Yeah.
Still that the changes that they want haven't been made yet. The concessions they've wanted haven't been done yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's. Go ahead.
Oh no! I'm just agreeing. I'm just saying, yeah, it's good. I mean, what's the point of? I think that was also the downfall of the unions in the United States. A lot of the unions were just taking whatever little they can get because pretty much everyone they've just been constricted. War of attrition, against the unions. It's like the unions really can't last. That's why we don't have unions anymore. It's like they're strapped for money. Everything's pricey, especially if you're going on strike in a big populated city where what is it when it's like the local economy, the price, the rates of where you live. For example, Boston is way pricier than it is in Columbus, Nebraska. And if you live in New York, San Francisco, the cost of living. Yeah, the cost of living.
Yeah.
I mean, in the cities, you're going to have unions because there's just more people in there. But when you live in the city, you also have higher cost of living, so it's going to be harder to support your family with just whatever you have with your savings or whatever the union could provide, etc. So, because I've been there. My father used to work at Boeing, and they used to have a lot of strikes. And
wow,
yeah, it was pretty tough. And what's funny is when I used to work at Alaska Airlines, there used to also be strikes with the union because they were gonna just lay off everybody and hire bunch of contractors, etc. I was only at the tail end of that, so I didn't have to go through that. I did have a friend who had to go through that. But yeah, let's see. I'm gonna look at chat real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Zog failure, MAGA Zog failure. Americans will stand up when they come for our guns. That's what we own, assault rifles. The end of the USA will come soon after all of California declares secession. I don't think California will ever secede. They probably wouldn't let them. I think that might be part of it. That might be part of the revolution. Is multiple states trying to secede. I know Florida wants to secede. California. It seems like a lot of the coastline and the South really want to secede, and I'm for it. Really, I think it's great. Let's see, because I mean, there used to be a reason for United States to be united for all the individual states, just because we don't want to be taken over by any invading force. But we are the invading force, so we don't have to worry about anyone taking us over.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Lori C, it's great. Agreed. True. MAGA Zog. If we start for the homeless, not kids in cages. Claude Alley. Reconciliation is one wicked word. Grant Jarvis. Unions have been beheaded. Anyone with brains and morals are removed. Yeah. So, I mean, they've had a lot of practice. The governments and corporations government is pretty much a bunch of corporations these days, and they know how to fight against unions. They know how to they'll just go to the meeting table and say, okay, here's our deal. You guys go back to work, and you guys will get paid for all the days you guys been on strike. And if you guys go on strike again within 5 years, well, we're gonna just fire you guys. And then the union workers are like, okay. It's always kind of been like that, and I think that's kind of what the government is doing. They're just like, hey, you guys want to protest? Well, go ahead and protest. We'll make it worse on your lives if you guys protest. We'll take you to jail. We'll notify your employer. Maybe you'll get fired. We'll make it a felony. All this other stuff. They'll fine you. It's like, hey, we're gonna fine you for this. It's like, I didn't even do that. Well, we're fining you, and you're gonna have to contest it in court. It's like, court's costly, and people fold. It's like, at that point, what you should be doing is doubling down, saying, I'm not paying that fine. I'm going out there, and this time you guys aren't gonna arrest me. I'm gonna fight back, etc. It's like, you guys pretty much infringed on my rights. And that's what should have happened. Instead, they just folded. I mean, if you're out protesting, I would say it's an all or nothing thing. You don't protest like part-time.
That's a good point.
If you're a part-time protester, you're not gonna get what you want with it. Especially if you're just an individual, but in a group, definitely. I mean, you have to have the mentality of going all in on it. Get what you want. Anything else is not an option, because the opposition to establishment, that's their same mentality. You can't fight that mentality with just going half-assed at it, You have to meet them at the same pace, and I don't know what it is that fires up the American people, but something has to really ignite their butts for them to really say, we dealt with this back in the 1700s and the 1800s. We should dealt with it in the 1900s, but hell, we're going to deal with it now. And I think that'll get people going. Because, one thing I have a feeling, I doubt the kids in the military, and most of them are kids that are going to be fighting, are going to want to hurt
Mhm.
their fellow Americans. Like I don't think like National Guard or the Army are going to want to fire upon civilians. And civilians, I don't think they want to fire on anybody either, you know? So it's just one option. Take down the government that's been corrupt and taking away Americans' freedoms, and let's just start back over, get everyone out. Like, let's actually drain the swamp like everyone wanted Trump to do.
Yes.
All right? It's like, drain the swamp,
Yes.
yeah! All right, we'll put a bigger swamp in. And people are like, yeah, he drained the swamp, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, Thomas Jefferson saw revolution as a necessary sort of filter. He said that we should have a revolution every 2 decades, every 20 years. So that way, you filter out the baggage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You clean out the clogged pipe,
Yeah.
if you will.
I mean,
right? Replace it with a new one.
Yeah. I mean, it makes more sense. It's like, imagine making a prototype product, and the first version of the product was the best product, and you never had to go revisit and make an updated version of it. It's like, hey, everything that started back in whatever 1776, hey, it's perfect. It didn't start over from scratch to make a better version of it. We just kept on adding parts, removing parts. And we see that didn't work. What we should have had was a 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and saying, okay, we shouldn't have this. This is just definitely not good. But this stuff was good. Let's keep that. Get away with that. Let's just start over. Because, I mean, all that stuff that's bad now was made like 50, 60, maybe even 100 years ago. It's like, times change. That stuff doesn't really affect us now, but we're still gonna follow it. I mean, it's just like all those states' laws where they still have those weird laws, like, for example, marriage laws where you can still marry when you're 14 or something, as long as you got it's like court approved or something. That doesn't seem to make sense. And yeah, some outdated laws that never just been taken away. They just hung around. Claude Alley. Hell with it, deal with it now for true. Yeah. We're pioneer witnesses. MAGA Zog failure. I don't think first generation immigrants should be allowed to protest. I think anybody should be allowed to protest, but I think you have a point there. I think what the first generation immigrants should have done was protest where they left. I'd say, look, if the first generation immigrants protested and participated in protests or revolutions where they were living before and came to the United States, I think we want them on our team when they start protesting, because we don't have that type of people with that mentality these days. But hopefully they're protesting about the right thing, not protesting to the establishment's points, but a protest against just everyone's individual freedom points.
You're saying like what would make people get up out off their couch to protest? I just thought of like if Oreos, like if they resized the size of their Oreo, like they made it smaller, but they charged more for it. That's a bunch of people with fines.
Yeah.
Outside the Oreo factory.
Oh man, that's just horrible, but that is funny. Yeah. It's like, I don't know about this Constitution stuff, but you guys better make those Oreos bigger again.
Oh, you remember the Twinkie? Remember that they were going to get rid of the Twinkie a few years ago?
Yeah.
The uproar that happened?
Yeah.
It's like, no, how could you do that? It's fucking American as apple pie. What are you doing?
Yeah. And they
stuck around.
I think Hostess got rid of it or something, or Hostess went bankrupt, or I don't remember.
And then something like that.
I think someone else like bought the ingredients and they made it. And yeah, I like Twinkies way back, but they have like beef fat and all this other stuff. So I haven't eaten it since I was 13 or something like that. I don't
They're
know.
probably better off.
But that's the thing is, when I was a kid, I remember tasting stuff and I was like, oh man, this is so good. And then I remember trying it when I was older, like in my 20s, maybe even 30s, and it's like, yeah, it used to be good. What happened? Did they change the ingredients? I think they just stayed the same, and just your taste just developed differently.
Yeah, I mean, like back when I was a kid, like I grew up around the city, so whenever I would venture there, I would have, the occasional hot dog. And then as I got older, as I grew into adulthood, I found out what hot dogs are made of. And I was like, maybe not the best thing to eat.
Yeah.
And this was, back, before I was a vegan or anything. I was still eating meat and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe not the best thing in the world to eat.
Yeah. I mean, it is weird. Like when I became vegetarian, when I stopped.
Are you a vegetarian now?
No, I was always a vegetarian since I was like 11.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
shit.
Once my daughter was being born, I wanted her to make a choice whether she wanted to eat meat or not. But I wanted to make sure that if we ate meat, it would be meat that we had to kill ourselves, hunt or fish and kill ourselves. That way she understood where the meat came from. If she liked it, she's not seeing just cut up meat at the store and going, hey, I like that stuff. And then later she finds out that, it's like pigs that couldn't even turn around in their cages and, getting killed and all this other stuff. And so that's when I started fishing and getting into hunting. And so she tried fish. She likes fish. It's like the only food she'll really eat. And she understands that we had to kill it. But she watches so much of like nature channels. She's like a big nature buff like me. And she knows like so many animals eat fish and fish eat fish, and it's but we don't want to waste any of the fish and all this other stuff. Like we'll have an aquarium take care of the fish, and we tried deer, venison, because as I was actually out going to hunt for wild turkey, there's 2 deer that got ran over that morning. In a very private road, and everything was fresh. So I was like, I guess I won't go hunting for wild turkey. So I brought it back, and we had venison, and she didn't really like it. I mean that was the backstrap, which is the best part of venison, and she didn't like that. So I'm pretty much sure she won't like cows, because venison is similar to cows, just not fatty at all.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to eat squirrels or rabbits because they're cute. I think she will eat chicken or turkey because she likes the tofurkey. And I let her try real turkey once at my brother's in Thanksgiving. As she knew where it came from, real turkey, that they live differently when they're grown and all this other stuff. Yeah. She liked the taste, so she wants me to go turkey hunting. So the only thing I'll really hunt is for poultry, turkey and birds. Although the thing is, I could hunt for these Eurasian doves. I think they're year round, but there's 3 of them that just love our driveway because we don't put any weed killer on our grasses, and our grass grow crazy. And so they just love.
Hope you don't put Roundup.
Yeah, and so they just hang around our yard and our driveway, just eating all the seeds, And it's like I don't really want to kill them. It seems like they're just part of like the American robins that nest every year. And it's it just we get to know them too well. We don't want to kill them. So I have a feeling that when we raise like chickens, and it's mostly gonna be for eggs, but we're not gonna want to eat the the chickens. So it's just wild. I think that's what also makes it easier when you're hunting, is like they live out in the wild. You don't get to know them personally. They don't end up being like pets. So it's just a little bit easier about eating them, killing them and eating them, in my opinion. Like, I always thought about raising rabbits for food because they grow quickly and stuff, and they're probably healthier than chickens, but I don't know about the thought of killing. Like, I had to. Here's the problem, like with maybe if once agriculture was made, where we had to plant things and take care of it with gardens and stuff, and not just eat the stuff that's out in the wild. We had to take care of rodents, right? Like voles. We have a problem with voles, field mice, whatever. So I had to set traps because our garden, they just burrow under the ground and eat the beets and the carrots, and so they ate pretty much everything except for a carrot and a beet from our garden. And so I put traps out there. I caught one that was going for sunflower seeds, and I think it's illegal to release. I might rethink that. I might just probably capture them because I got the jaw traps, which will pretty much kill them if they're in it. And I also got the humane ones where it's just they go in and they're trapped. So I caught it in there, and I would have rather released it out in some public woods, like wildlife management area. But I think that my wife said that's probably illegal or something like that, and I'd be like, whatever.
I don't know. It probably varies from state to state.
Yeah, it's state to state. But I don't know. I just don't like killing things. If like, it's one thing to kill things for food, but just to kill things because they're eating part of your garden and stuff. I was like, I'd rather just throw them out in the woods like 20, 30 miles away, where they could just find stuff to eat and live their life out that way. I don't know. It's just weird.
I got a question for you then.
All right.
Would you, if you saw it, say in your garage or in your kitchen, would you kill a cockroach?
Yeah. I view insects differently. Just more of a.
Why? Why are insects different?
Just disease, and if they get in my way, that's like cockroaches are one thing, fruit flies are another. They just pose problems. Like ants sometimes, although I just try to deter the ants with oils. But like I'm in the basement. There's tons of flies. Like gnats, I'll kill. House flies, I'll kill. Mosquitoes, I'll definitely kill. Moths, I'll let them fly around if they get in here. I've got wasps that are on the doorway that goes outside to the backyard. There's just an actual small nest up in the top corner. They haven't bothered us or stung us, so I just kind of let them stay. But I think my wife and my daughter want me to move it. So one day I'm gonna have to get in my beekeeper's gear and move that nest out to like under the corner of our house or something like that. I've got plenty of spiders around me and beetles. Like the beetles I leave, like they'll probably get eaten by the spiders. There was a snake that was in here before. I freed it outside. It's just a small tiny snake. It got stuck in like some Velcro tape. And so I
poor thing.
Took it out of the Velcro tape and put it outside. They're good because they'll at least eat like the rodents. Grasshoppers and crickets are here. I leave them alone. Spiders, the only time I kill them is when they just get like they start hanging and getting in my face or crawling all over me. Then I'm like, all right, you invaded my space. But majority of the time, or if I'm cleaning you up, it's like, I'm sorry, but I need to get there. So there's just like, I'm counting down near my feet, 7 or 8 spiders and a whole bunch of dead insects. Like I'm pretty much okay with leaving them alone as long as they leave me alone. But like certain type of insects and like cockroaches, you don't want infestations of cockroaches in their poop. You know, it's not good for the kids or your lungs or whatever. So certain things, like it's just trade off. It's like, hey, but good thing I don't have to deal with cockroaches. I had to deal with them in Texas, but I haven't seen cockroaches in a long time. So
Yeah. And in Texas, aren't they really big?
yeah, they're big. They're huge. I mean, like they'd be like the size of this, if not bigger. Some of them have wings. They'll fly around in your face, and they're hard to kill.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you want to kill them, just like a random bit of trivia for you guys. If you want to kill a cockroach, aim for their ass, because that's where their brain is at.
Their brain is in their ass?
Yes, they evolved. Yes, so if you squish its head, a cockroach can survive without a head for a whole month.
That's really weird.
Yeah, their brain is all the way towards their rectum, in their ass.
And the feds here. Yeah. Oh wow. I'm gonna have to look that up. But man,
Yeah.
It's so weird, cockroaches.
No, I mentioned that because the other day I was coming home, right, and I was in the garage with my mother, and she had some popcorn in her hand, right, and I was just, the garage door was open, and we were just looking around, and I noticed there was a cockroach, like right in the driveway. It's like in our driveway we have, you know, the driveway, and then you have the garage that goes in. I was like, "Oh, look, Mom, look, there's a cockroach over there." She's like, "Why?" My mother starts getting nervous and everything. She's holding the popcorn, right? I'm just looking at the thing. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm just, you know, not taking it too seriously. It's just an animal. It's like 15 feet away from us, right?
Yeah.
And so, as I'm turning to go to close the garage door, I hear like a sound, like an insect flapping its wings, right? And the next thing I know, I start turning back around and I see the cockroach whiz past me. It's flying through the air and it goes towards my mother who's holding the popcorn. And my mother just screams like, ah! Some of the popcorn. She goes running towards the back. And the cockroach is somewhere in the garage. And we spent like an hour trying to find the thing, and I'm like conflicted. I'm like, oh man, I don't really want to kill it. You know, I don't, like, if I have a chance to like grab it and take it outside, I will. And I was like, what are you, crazy? Like the same diseases, they're disgusting. I'm like, Mom, but they don't bite you. Like, so what? It's an insect.
Yeah, you might think differently when they get in your food and they leave feces all over your food. Yeah.
Right, I understand. Yeah, but I mean, it was just a thing that just flew in, probably because of the light. Because there's a light in the garage that's pretty bright, so I'm guessing that was it. Because the garage was the driveway was pretty dim lit, and so maybe it saw the light, and I was like, oh look, there's a light over here, and just, you know how insects are with light. It just flew right towards it. And my mother just happened to be in its way, and so it's terrorized my mother. But
you should have had that on video, man.
No, I didn't. I unfortunately did not. But it was pretty funny. It was funny to watch. I was probably right in the center of the garage, right? And my mother was off to the side towards the door that leads upstairs to like where I'm at right now. So between us was like about maybe 5 feet, maybe 6 feet. And I just saw the freaking cockroach whiz by me and go right towards my mother. It was probably flying like maybe like 10 miles an hour. It was pretty fast, man. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever seen a cockroach with wings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've held them in my hand. Like I went to where was I? I think I was in Florida. I went to like this zoo or maybe an aquarium, something like that. No, it had to be a zoo. and they had like these cockroaches, and they let you hold them, like they pet cockroaches. Like I was like, okay, I was like freaking 7 years old. I didn't know, and I had like 3 or 4 cockroaches I was holding in my hand. They were just crawling around, it's making weird noise, like. And I remember like my mother was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even freaked out by my mom. Like, the damn thing doesn't bite you. Why are you so freaked out by it? Like, it hasn't shit in your food. It's only one.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a whole, like.
I mean, touching them too, because they clean themselves after they poop. You just want to make sure you wash whatever it is they come in contact with. But I think it's just a lot of the stories of people getting sick. But I think they don't like creepy crawly things that just crawl around all the time. I mean, they're just mostly in hot, humid places, and I don't know. Hot, humid places just have a lot of stuff that people don't like. Mosquitoes love hot, humid. Cockroaches.
Snakes.
Yeah, but snakes usually don't really bother you too much. I mean, you'd have to just mistakenly like bump into it, and hopefully it's not poisonous. But though it seems like I think a lot of the poisonous snakes are usually in really hot and arid, like dry heat type of places, not necessarily humid.
Deserts. Yeah.
Rocky terrains, and
you have like the cottonmouth that's like in Florida. Florida, Alabama, Georgia, like Louisiana. And you have the rattlesnake, obviously, like in Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, like in the Southwest. I don't think I'm not too well studied on snakes, but I think there's another one thing, like the corn snake. I'm not sure if that's native to North America or South America, but that's another poisonous one. Well, there's a corn snake and there's a milk snake, and they're very similar because they're both red, yellow, and black, and they're both striped that way, but one has a different order.
The
colors, and that's how you could tell which one is the dangerous one and which one is not. Yeah, man. I remember.
I know. There's different snakes like that. I used to do the same thing. I think that was poisonous. Oh wait, I think it's the other one. Whatever it is, just stay away from it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a good rule of thumb.
Claude Alley would rather fight a bear before a spider. I don't know about that.
Oh no, dude, no.
Spiders are easy to take care of.
Yeah.
What I usually have are like the little fish nets to capture either flies or insects, and that works really well. I don't have to get like a cup and like slide it. That's one way, but the net is just like put both nets together and just carry it outside and let it go. They usually find the places, or they'll find their way back in here. I don't know how all these insects get in here. Like crickets get in here, snakes get in here, tons of spiders, beetles. It's like.
Do you have pipes around your basement there?
Oh yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. They probably get in from somewhere, get into air vents, and then get out. Good thought.
Or even through the water. I mean, especially cockroaches and.
I don't worry about
it. Some snakes can swim.
Yeah. Well, these snakes here, I've looked at them. I mean, I found one like the skin was shed. It was like this long. It was pretty thick. But they're not poisonous. And I walked near one and it just like slithered away really fast. So I'm not too worried about the snakes here. We went off topic pretty fast. All right. Politics. A bunch of snakes and spiders and cockroaches are in our government.
Yes, there you go. Way to bring it back around, Lee Bone.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I don't know. It's so. What are your thoughts? Have you been following the politics in 2019, the Democratic debates and whatnot?
Very loosely, man. Because like you, uh, I'm not gonna vote for Democrat or Republican ever again. Doesn't care how. I don't care how good they may look, they may appear on the surface. I can't go through that bullshit again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and I don't even subscribe to the whole, you know, political spectrum, like left, right. You know, you were capitalist, socialist, libertarian, whatever. I just want what's best for my people. That's it. You know.
Wait, who are your people? I'm just kidding.
I mean, everybody, man. Americans, human beings. You know.
Yeah.
That's.
What about the reptilians? Just kidding.
Oh, the reptilians, yeah. Oh, which one? The ones that are underground or the ones that are coming to invest in TYT?
Oh,
They want to buy stock in TYT.
yeah. Oh man. Hey, I see a lot of it's kind of sad. A lot of progressive commentators starting to turn into TYT light, and TYT ended up becoming like CNN light. It's like this little progression of like, let's head back to the establishment. It's like, let's forget about what happened. This time it'll be different, and the next time it'll be different, and it stays the same.
Yeah, it's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
You know, it's confirmation bias. You know, it's a lot of things, man, and it's just. I mean, you know my story, me bomb. I mean, I took the chance once in 2016. I'm like, you know what? Let me try it, and it blew up in my face. It blew up in everybody's faces that did that. I mean, because there were a lot of, especially youngsters like me, who voted for the first time back in 2016, and then we got royally screwed along with everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you subject yourself to that same thing again when it hasn't gotten better? It hasn't stayed the same. It's gotten worse. Like
it's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse. So why would you even consider that? It's like, no. Like the metaphor I like to use is like the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Hey, Eric. Oh, Eric is in here. Yo,
hey.
What's going on, brother?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. I was saying, like, the metaphor that I like to use is like the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are the two bumpers on the pinball machine. And we're the pinball. The American people are the pinball. They're just hitting us back and forth, you know, abusing us.
Yeah.
And we're all getting screwed up in the end. You know, and we're here, like, again, we're fighting amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
When we really should be fighting against the government, the people in government, the corrupt, you know, the people that commit waste, fraud, and abuse day in and day out.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Eric?
How are you doing, Eric?
Doing pretty good. Naming the videos that I'm going to upload, like the titles, and getting that done.
Awesome, man.
So do you think you'd vote for a Democrat or Republican?
Oh, fuck no.
What about Hillary Clinton if she ran again?
Oh, God.
No one should vote for that fucking cunt with the cankles.
Okay, what if it wasn't Hillary Clinton, but what if it was her green bottle that she spat out one time?
Come on.
Bring it back. I just got to keep bringing it back.
I should never watch that video.
I was like, there's something wrong with her. It was like, whoever's like, you know, propping up Hillary Clinton, for fuck's sake, hell, she's at her own fucking risk. I mean, like, here's one thing: she could pretend all she wants. She could pretend to, like, you know, having quote unquote good health. Like, people are really, really gonna look into that shit too, just like in 2016. It'll happen again in 2020. And hell, well, what if something else medical happens that it cannot be truly avoided and it's out there in the fucking public? People are going to be asking questions. Look at the time that when she collapsed at that 9/11 memorial back in 2016. It's almost
like, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue when she runs again in 2020, because it's like, hey, people were saying that she was in bad health in 2016. She's better than ever in 2020, so it's not going to be an issue for her.
I still question her health to this day.
I think back then it was also more of a question of her VP choice, because if she did keel over, then we'd have, what's his name? Was it Bob Kane or something like that?
Tim Kaine.
Yeah, it's like no one wanted Tim Kaine, not even the Democrats. It's like if she would have picked someone like Elizabeth Warren, I think they would be okay with her health being bad.
Pocahontas. You mean Disney's Pocahontas?
Yeah. People liked her back in 2016. Then
she's a fucking letdown and a sellout and an opportunist and a champagne socialist.
But we knew that once 2016 happened. Like before that, we were kind of like, we kind of like Elizabeth.
He was
Warren.
brought to heel by Hillary.
Yeah.
So
anyone in the DNC, they're already brought down to that cunt's cankles. Well, except for creepy Joe Biden, he voluntarily brought himself to heel, especially when he massaged them cankles.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have nightmares about that. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome. He'll get his mitts on it. He'll get his mitts hands on anything, especially them cankles.
Oh my god.
I wonder. Yeah, I mean, it's weird.
Come on, Eric.
Enjoy the visual.
Recently, like on the Hillary Clinton news, like her best friend died. Recently, she had her third grandchild. She had her brother pass away. I think those are just kind of a lot of indicators to also help when she runs. Is like, my best friend and my brother passed away. When she'll probably say something
death guilt votes. Oh, feel bad for me. I'm like, it's like guilt tripping for votes. It's like I was like, oh wait, she's old.
It works. Because all she has to say is like before they left, they just said,
I don't fall for that bullshit.
Run again. That's what they said. I can't let them down.
But she's gonna run into the fucking. She's gonna run the DNC and the Democratic Party into the fucking ground. And when Trump leaves office, same thing is gonna happen to the Republican Party.
Well, the thing is, Trump wants her to run, and it's like, I don't see why people keep thinking she's not. Like, Trump really wants her to win. It just gets everyone amped up. It's a way to amp up his base, and it really gets just a lot of people paying attention to politics. Because I mean, it's just like in 2016, when we had the whole bunch of Republicans running for the candidacy. It's like, we don't know who these people are. They're just all kind of boring. At least Trump is a little bit exciting. It's kind of like the same thing now. It's like a whole bunch of these Democrats are just kind of boring, repetitious, and the same thing we've been seeing all these years. No one really different.
And Senator Disney's Pocahontas did a rain dance, but it ended up triggering a sprinkler. So it's like she did a rain dance, but nothing fucking happened.
End of triggering a sprinkler. That's a good one. I still think the best duo to win 2020 would be if you have the former Attorney General Eric Holder run under the great Anthony Wieners of New York as the Wiener Holder team. I'm telling you, buddy, that's the team to win it all. That is the team to win it all.
They all think alike. Yes, I like to mock Hillary Clinton for her comments.
That'd
Like,
be great. That would be fun to work on their campaign. Wiener holder.
holding down that wiener.
Wiener, holder, wiener, holder.
That would be for the Democrats too, who are very PC. So I don't think they'd like that either.
Yeah, man. Or if like Al Franken ran and you had Jill Stein as his VP, like it would be the Frankenstein campaign.
Oh, let me take out the Zoom. I think that is Shirley and.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Hey Shirley, is that you?
Hey, Cheryl.
Yes, it is. Hey,
How's it
Eric. Hey, Christian.
How's it going?
Shirley? It's been a long time.
I know. Why y'all talking about that scumbag?
Who? Which one? There's so many.
Queen.
Hillary.
Oh, Hillary?
Yes.
Don't you love her though? I mean, she's gonna run again.
Hell no. Chelsea get ready to have a third grandchild.
She already had
Go
one.
home and be a grandma.
She had the kid a couple of days ago.
Oh, she did. What she had?
I don't know. I didn't really care.
I hope she's not doing no spirit cooking with those damn kids, because they into that shit.
God, I hate to imagine that.
But her best friend died a couple of days ago too. Like her brother, I think her younger brother died a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Is that the one she left in Haiti and he still took their money and took over their stuff?
I don't know, but I would be surprised.
It probably was him.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably runs in the family pretty deep.
Wasn't it George W. Bush who said something like, God, talk to me, he told me to do it, to go to war, something like that, right? Didn't he say like something like that?
I don't know.
They not really Christians. They just playing they Christian. They Zionists. That's all they are, Zionists. They're not Christian. They can quote that Bible. I know people that ordained ministers, and they can quote that Bible with their eyes closed. And they got some secrets in their heads. They don't deserve to be ministering.
Yeah. Well, heck, Donald Trump doesn't even remember what his favorite line in the Bible. Remember when they asked him, "What's your favorite verse?"
Because he's not a Christian either.
Yeah, I know.
Because his own pastor called him out for not ever coming to church. I was cracking up.
Oh my God.
And yeah, that's what gets me about conservatives or libertarians.
Yeah, they the Christian values, and you anti-abortion, but you're willing to just allow wars to kill women and children.
Yeah. And I think Trump, largely Trump was always a Democrat for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. He was.
And
he contributed money. He gave money.
Yeah.
To Democrats.
He ran as a Democrat too early on. Not in 2016.
Did you hear the firefighters in New York want to reopen the investigation about 9/11 because they want to hear about the bombs that was set all over the building?
Oh.
Because you know that's how that shit went down.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Possibly. Like I always thought the latest thing that I saw on it was like the cold energy weapon or something like that. And that cold.
Like when it comes to me in the September 11th, it was the people that were responsible for it and our own government. Because that's like the way I actually do see September 11th, 2001.
And I think they were involved in the Oklahoma City bombing. Them two white boys, they make that crap up. Ain't no way. And they killed Timothy McVeigh quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I heard there was some kind of paperwork in there somebody wanted to get. And that's a damn shame. That was a daycare center in that building. I'll never forget that picture of that firefighter carrying that toddler out of that building.
Yeah. Christian Greg Jarvis said, yeah, it was Bush that said that. And Mega Zog Failure said, Bush said he prayed about it before going into Iraq. Obama prayed about it when ordering a drone strike that would kill women and children.
Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you, brother. Yeah. As far as like a false flag attack, man, I wouldn't doubt it, man. I mean, wasn't it WikiLeaks, or it might have been like some of the JFK stuff that got released? They were like planning a false flag attack in Miami to justify an invasion of Cuba.
Yeah. I mean, the first
all the way back in the 60s, man. Like, imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the first like verified false flag attack, I guess that a lot of written accounts say was back in Teddy Roosevelt when he started the, I think, Spanish-American War. He was like, "Hey, we need to start a war. It's just that way I can be a war hero and get into politics, etc." And that's how it happened. It's like they said, "Hey, we got attacked by Spain way over in the Philippines or something like that," and that was like in the late 1800s, like the last decade of the 1800s, and then that's kind of amped up because like Teddy Roosevelt was just a prominent person from a wealthy class family. He got with like a editor or someone who owned a media, a newspaper outlet, and he also got someone from within Congress, and so they were like the new triumvirate. You got someone from media, you got someone from the government, and so Teddy Roosevelt would go in. I think he was in the military, so he would just go in and do participate in battles, and the newspaper guy, his friend, would like amp it up and saying get America excited, so everyone just is proud of Teddy Kennedy and his war efforts and all this other stuff, and that's where it all started. It was a false flag event just to invade so he could look good in battle, because it's like nothing's happening. So I'm never gonna get into politics if I don't have any battles. So let's make some battles happen.
Yeah, and Teddy Roosevelt had a very romanticized view of war. I mean, he viewed it as very how would you put it?
They tried to do a coup against him. They was trying to poison him.
Who, Teddy?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, he was he introduced like breaking up trust, like the breaking up of big businesses and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They were pissed about that.
They were pissed. Oh yeah, hell yeah, they were pissed about that. And then when his nephew came along later on, FDR, or his cousin or nephew? I always forget. Is it nephew or cousin?
I thought they were cousins. I think they're cousins.
Yeah, I think they were cousins. He expanded upon that further, and they didn't like that still, man. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he was I forgot who was the president before he inherited it, but he was the VP, and so he had his first term. It was 3 years, and then he ran as the president. He won, got a full 4 years. And he was thinking about running again for the third time back when it was still legal, when it was still allowed. But they had that tradition back then because of Washington didn't want to run again for a third term. But that was like the unwritten law that you only get 2 terms as a president, that you're supposed to step down after 2 terms. But he was already getting ready to argue that, I didn't really have 2 full terms because I was the VP and the president died, so I only had 7 years technically as president. So why not run again? But he didn't. He chose to step down. And then the person, I think it was Taft, that came afterwards. Taft was basically going to be his protege and continue all of the same policies and whatnot. that Teddy had established during his 2 terms of 7 years.
Yeah.
But what happened was that he didn't do that. And so Teddy, after that cycle, decided, you know what, I'm going to run again. But this time, instead of running as a Republican, for whatever reason, I don't remember, he decided to run as an independent in a third party called the Bull Moose Party.
Mm-hmm.
And he got pretty far, man. I think he got like a third of a vote, like 33%, something like that.
Yeah. So they were fifth cousins, Franklin and Teddy.
Fifth cousins.
That's what I'm getting with search results. And Grant Jarvis said it was Franklin Roosevelt was to be poisoned by his portrait painter. It wasn't Teddy. I think it makes more sense for it to be Franklin Roosevelt because of just how long he was running and all the stuff that he was doing, shaking up the wealthy
status quo.
Yeah, he was.
Oh man!
And a lot of people believe he stopped the revolution. A lot of people believe that a revolution was coming during the Great Depression, and if it wasn't for FDR and the policies that he enacted, that it would have been a revolution.
I'd still say it's all conjecture.
Conjecture.
None of us here can talk to anyone that's still alive about it, so we all have to go by the books and what they're saying, and so it's hard, but you know, whatever. Shirley, so who would you vote for, a Democrat or Republican?
But I what?
Vote for a Republican or a Democrat?
I ain't voting for either.
Oh, why not? What if it was like
I'm instructed to vote. The DNC is still doing the same thing they did in 2016.
You think they're exactly the same?
Their lesson.
Or slightly better or slightly worse?
Because they keep, I ain't going for lesser of two evils either. And I ain't do it in 2016.
Mm-hmm. But Shirley, do you think it's the same? You think it's gotten better? You think it's gotten worse? That was.
Oh hell no! They just still the same, and they got worse.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Look what they doing at Tulsi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
And Bernie called CNN fake news. I'm like, about time, Bernie. You got some balls to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of, because I know you still listen to a lot of people, you still see a lot of the commentators like pushing for a candidate that's in the DNC?
Well, they all know that they're trying to push Biden, because the night of the debates, they say Biden won. I'm like, how the fuck did he win? Anytime he opened his mouth, he dig his grave deeper and deeper.
No, I'm talking about like the alternative media.
They want him to be the nominee.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't hide it no more.
Is there any alternative media that you've been watching or listening to that are also on the same boat as us? It's like, no more. We know the DNC didn't learn its lesson, so why vote?
Oh yeah, #ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. We want the Democrats to start talking about reparations. They will get no vote. And Trump was right to call out Elijah Cummings. His district is jacked up. He got rats and stuff running around there. And then his house happened to get robbed over the weekend, right before Trump tweeted about his district.
Oh, shit.
Mm. Yep.
Crazy.
And you look at Maxine Waters and Feinstein, what they're called Poop Nation, because all those homeless people out there.
Yeah.
So they firing back at him, but
I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, because that's big now, and they going after black folks now. They trying to take us down off the internet, because they say if we tell them y'all help DACA, y'all help LGBTQ, and you help the immigrants. You're fighting, and for a lot, the CBC to be fighting for immigrants. Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King was against that, because they take from black and brown jobs. And Elijah Cummings crying about how they living conditions are. Well, look at your people. And the black folks down there in Baltimore said, I'm glad Trump called his butt out. Because they can't even go downtown unless they go to court.
Yeah.
They can't work down there or anything.
I mean, it feels like whenever I look at the statistics or analysis of like the demographics for politics and voters, like the black vote is a big voting block for Democrats. Do you think that's going to make
they need us, and that's why they want them damn immigrants in here, because they want to replace us.
Ah.
They think they slick. They ain't slick. You got to pay for what you did to our people, because we built that White House. All them damn different presidents went in with blood, sweat, and tears. And Benjamin Banneker was a black former slave who designed Washington, the old Washington like it was. He was an architect. There's a lot of black inventors,
like
scientists and chemists.
If I was running for president, I'd make the reparations happen, and I would get it all, and that would be paid for by the 1%. So you get all the 1%'s money, and reparations paid for, and it's taking none from the middle class or the poor. So vote for me. Everyone Kim, write it down.
And a lot of white people say, well, that's not our fault. That was our ancestors. But a lot of them made money off of our stuff because we weren't allowed to get patents. Like 2 black sisters made sanitary napkins.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get patents, but that's $1 billion business.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think NASA, the one who a mathematician who calculated the trajectory, the telemetry for the moon, the Apollo missions. She was a black woman, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that movie they made?
I haven't seen that movie. I don't like watching
I didn't
propaganda.
watch it. Because I don't believe Hollywood, because they put their little spins in it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, because like the Statue of Liberty, we were taught wrong on that. They always said that was there for the immigrants. That's a lie.
Liberty
Island?
A
guy from France had that thing built. He was against slavery. And when the U.S. freed the slaves, he had that Statue of Liberty made up. I don't know if it's on her right foot or her left foot, but she has broken shankles at her feet. That was for freeing slaves.
Yeah.
They lied about our history. They a lot of us, not even just blacks, but whites too.
Oh shit. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man.
So when did it take you to figure that out, Shirley?
Well, I've been going to Black YouTube because it's this guy from Philly. He has a YouTube page, and he do a lot of black inventors. And I'm like, wow, we had doctors, chemists that invented things, and we don't get no credit for it because we couldn't get a patent.
I mean,
the color of our skin.
I think the first person who did the open heart surgery stuff was a black person.
Yeah, but that's not the right one. The history told us it was someone else.
Oh.
I forgot his name. Because you can go to the Smithsonian Institute, because they say if it wasn't for African Americans, this country would not be thriving. That's because we invented a lot of stuff. A lot. Yep. We invented white black man invented the extended ladder on the fire trucks. He made the fire escape. Mm-hmm. The refrigerated trucks that come to our markets and drop off our food.
Yeah. Well.
Yep, they made a lot of stuff.
If they couldn't vote, I don't think they had rights to patent probably either. So.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
You guys got screwed over.
And even some slave owners, they try to get patents because somebody made something to do doing the gin in the fields. He created a invention, and the slave owner tried to patent it, and they said, who made this? He said, my slave. He said, you can't get no patent for this. He made it.
Yep.
And a black man made the first gas mask. Because a mine had collapsed in Georgia somewhere down the south. And he came down there and brought the mask for him. And when they found out he invented it, they said, no, we're not using them. They rather go down there with no mask on.
Just silly, crazy people.
Yeah, because I learned a lot of history through black YouTube. Because this one guy, and it's a shame because it's a lot of black YouTubers, and it only be like 25 people over there when he be doing these black inventors.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
You would think the SJWs would be all about that, but they seem to not care.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
they're
don't.
trying to erase our history. That's what they're trying to do. They want them immigrants to vote for them. Because I think in Pennsylvania in 2016, I think 500,000 immigrants, illegal immigrants, voted for Hillary, and they just looking for them. They're not going to lock them up or send them back. They just looking for them and letting them know they can't vote. Well, they should have known that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But she still lost Pennsylvania.
Puerto Rico. I wonder how Puerto Rico's doing. They're not doing so well.
No, they're not doing well at all. I mean, they
Well,
just got rid of a government.
They rioting over there.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do here. Get people to step down. Aren't they still rioting in France?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call it rioting. I would call protest.
Yeah.
Yeah, riot.
Rioting is what the establishment media outlets say.
Yeah,
that's Antifa. Antifa.
Yeah. Antifa.
They be rioting.
Yeah, they're rioters, yeah.
The news reporters are probably hiring someone. Hey, I'll pay you $5 to throw that rock in that window while we're filming, and they go, okay. So we can't throw the rock for $5 and go, there's a rioting going on here.
It's like some big Hollywood fucking play.
Yeah.
That's actually the way I actually do treat it.
Because I remember there was a protest right out of CNN headquarters. They didn't even fucking cover it.
Mm-hmm.
Brought you by.
I remember that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys seeing they're taking down all the articles that used to state how WikiLeaks the DNC leaks were leaks from WikiLeaks. They've taken all that. They're taking all that stuff down.
Well, everybody know already.
Yeah, I know. But they've actually
taken it down for me.
Yeah.
Because that Russia investigation failed. I said, boy, they gave Trump a clean sweep in 2020.
Yep, they're just going to go and re-elevate Trump again and make even more fucking money off of it.
Yeah, because they be fired. I'm like, why do they keep responding to his tweets? A narcissist, you ignore them. Because when they you ignore them, they sit home and make their wives or whoever else in the house miserable.
Oh, don't do that to Melania. I mean, you gotta.
I know. I feel for her. But that's how they are, because my aunt went with a boyfriend. He was like that. And she was like, look, I can't talk to you. I got to get a break from you for several days, maybe a week. And she would not talk to him. And all he would call her and call, he wouldn't answer the phone. He was going crazy. And like I said, they just giving him their power. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. And they still want to impeach. That majority of the House have votes to impeach Trump. Impeach him on what?
It ain't gonna happen.
No.
And that's the funny part. It's not gonna happen. And plus, they're gonna get. Here's one thing: they're projecting hope off of the voters and setting them up for disaster and disappointment, just like the 2016 DNC. They're doing the same exact fucking thing, but with more shadier tricks and doubling down. That's all the DNC is doing, and plus the same thing with the RNC as well. I don't even trust them too.
I love Kamala Harris when she called out Kamala's record, because she said, man, this was so much stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, it was so much stuff to talk about because she couldn't even get to the truancy part.
Like
locking up poor people for truants because their kids missed school. A lot of them people were homeless, living in the shelter.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, with the school system and the education system, it really does suck.
Yes, it does. It was fit by design. Because I remember we had all vocational programs in school, and you were graded on it. Home economics, welding, auto shop. They took all that stuff out, and they wonder why the kids acted crazy. It's also home, coming from home, but still, you took all that stuff out of school. And in urban areas, they don't have no books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's almost like they take in something that they have constructed and completely deconstruct it. Be like, oh, you have to learn this. Oh, you're required to learn that.
Yeah.
It's like, and they're not gaining any kind of skill off of it. It's like,
no, they're not.
And plus,
they don't even want to go to school.
Exactly. I mean, if I had kids one day, I'd homeschool them. I wouldn't care. I'd be like, no, you're not going to public school. I'll homeschool you instead because, you know, you'll get a better education. And
you really don't want to homeschool them because if they go to school, they'll get social skills with other children. That's the thing. You don't want your child to be introverted.
Yeah, but I would actually take out my, you know, I would actually have like field trip educations. You can actually go and interact with others.
Yeah, because they took that out of school. I remember I learned banking in elementary school. I had a PSFS bank account. I had to bring money every week to school. They don't have that no more. And I learned swimming when I was in junior high school because, you know, y'all know black folks don't like to, a lot of us don't know how to swim. But I learned because my mom had to sign a trip slip when I was in junior high. We went to the YMCA and we used those floats, and I learned how to swim. They don't have that stuff no more. You had to, they took gym out. My son, when he got in high school, they said you could either choose gym or pick another class. I'm like, since when?
Oh, wow.
And they talking about why the kid's so fat. Well, you took that out of school. That was mandatory because if you always skip a class, at least you had that good grade to pass the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with me, like instead of like taking physical education, like in high school, I actually took class, a weight training class in order to get my gym credit.
Oh, nice. I wish I would have had that.
No, they ain't offer that. They offer some other kind of class, like you may take Spanish or English. Like, what kind of crap is this? In my old high school, they had a great auto body shop because my brother worked in there. He got graded on that. And a lot of them kids, when they graduate, they got out of school making good paying jobs. Like welding, you got to make some good money welding.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have it no more. So the kids don't have no hope. Especially if they ain't got none at home.
Yeah.
Because I used to love going to school.
Yeah, now, I mean, at least when I was going to school, it was a bit of a drudgery. It was hard to, you know, it was kind of like we went to school because we had to. It's not like we wanted to.
Right. And that's a shame. It shouldn't have been like that. And it's just like with my kids growing up, because I told my kids when I grew up, I mean, we partied as teenagers. The DJ would block off a street, and he put out a DJ equipment, we'd be blocking it, and when we move out the way, when the cars come by, the cops didn't bother us. They didn't. And now, they can't even have a block party, because you don't know when a shooting is going to happen.
Yeah.
And they can't even go to clubs, either.
Yeah.
Because my kids are grown now.
Mm-hmm.
I worry about my son when he go out every day. And that's the worst feeling to have a black son.
Yeah, I mean, my mother, I mean, I'm not black, but my mother worries about me the same way, too, whenever I go out. Even when I just go out to get groceries.
Yeah, because I'm brown. You're a brown person.
I guess. I don't know. Well, my mom is very fearful. When my mom came to this country, she didn't speak English, and she grew up in an Irish neighborhood up in the North Bronx, and she was bullied a lot. She experienced a lot of racism, and they hated her even more because she looked like them, but she wasn't them.
Oh yeah, because
red hair.
Yeah, they did blacks like that too when they came here, because they were mad that we had jobs and they couldn't get the same pay. Because somebody Yvette Carnell just did a book, some book about how the Irish became white. And they took us through some changes, boy, blacks and brown people.
Yeah, it's been like that with everybody, man. I mean, it's just again, into the society. It's like they'll divide us up by any means necessary. You know, like if I've said it before.
And have you guys ever noticed that right now certain movies they getting African immigrants from like London and stuff to play our roles? Like this woman playing Harriet Tubman, we're gonna boycott that movie because she always say negative things about African Americans.
Oh yeah.
She don't even look right playing that role. Harriet Tubman is coming out because a lot of blacks women ask when they gonna make that movie because they would love to play that role. They could have got Viola Davis to play it. She's ADOS, American Descendant of Slaves.
Yeah.
Why they get her from London? Because see, a lot of them in London can't get jobs. Only one I know that get jobs in London acting is Idris Elba, because he got his own show out there called Luther.
Yeah, the acting scene, like the television and the movie scene out in the UK is like it's like a joke compared to Hollywood. I mean, they're starting to get there now, like with shows like what you were saying, like Luther, Sherlock. Obviously, they've had Doctor Who for a while, but still, like the production value over there is nothing like over here. I mean, you have these humongous studios that have been around for decades, and over there they're just like, it really is just theater. It still is mostly theater. Theater is still stronger than the television and the film industry over there.
Yeah, but they come over they come over here and these buttholes are giving them our roles, black folks. And people they talking, because I forgot a couple of male actors was mentioned in there. Why are they giving these male actors, it was somebody from London, I guess he was from London, but he was an African that played Martin Luther King in Selma. And they want to know why the movie didn't do so great. He don't know our history. When we play them roles, we show the passion, because we know what people have went through.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Well,
they already had this idea. They call us slaves sometimes when they come here.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, I gotta go. My phone's like literally about to die. So it was great talking to you guys.
Have a great night, Christian. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, guys.
Bye, Cheryl.
Soon.
Bye.
Yep.
Have a great weekend.
I'm gonna try to do this every Friday, so feel free to join us.
Awesome.
Will do.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you again, Ebon. Greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming on, you guys.
Eric, you leaving too?
Yup.
Yeah, it's getting late.
Leaving? Are we all leaving?
Yeah, I think it's a good time to end. It's been almost 3 hours. Shirley, you gotta get on earlier.
I know. I washed my hair though.
All right.
That's why.
No problem. You guys got it. Yeah, all right. Never mind. We'll see you guys next Friday. And
all right, we'll do.
Remember, vote Democrat, because you gotta fall in line.
I'm following those lines.
Just kidding. All right. See you guys.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.